Welcome back to the Nightlife Podcast Season 3 episode, the next one after the last. Whatever the episode is, again, we have it down here. I want to thank my good friends here at Latin Cafe. There's no way we could have avoided being in Miami, being at a Latin, Cuban Latin restaurant here in Brickell, the new place where you gotta be. They're not fake plants, by the way, they're all real. Today, man, we have a good friend here.
Yes, good
Terry.
Long time.
Deland, how do you pronounce your last?
Thierry Deland.
Deland.
Yeah.
So you are really French, not French Canadian.
I'm French, yeah. I was born in France.
I always thought you were faking your accent.
No. Well, I keep it because the girls liked it back in the day, so I keep it. But I came here in the 80s, the 1980s, right with the cocaine cowboy time in Miami.
Oh, yes, 100%.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I always knew that I was going to interview Terry at some point in time. I didn't know exactly when it was going to happen because a lot of people are always asking about the history of the nightlife in Miami. It's one of the cities there. Everybody talks about New York and back, Studio 54, those times of days. But honestly, Miami's Miami. Like you just said, cocaine cowboys, and all those different times. There's been all the, there's a lot of Cuban history. There's a lot of, European
Colombian,
history.
Venezuelan, French.
A lot of different times, a lot of different, eras. I started in 1993 in this whole crazy world. And you were already around. You had been around. I don't know if you started before Miami, actually.
I started in France, in Paris, after the army. And Regine's, who opened clubs in the Granby Hotel in the Coconut Grove, was very famous already, who owned clubs all over the world. Regine's used to own like at least 20, 25 clubs at one point. And she hired me because when I see one face one time, I never forget it. I can forget the name of the person, but the face I never forget. So I'm called philosophist. So I can see a face and remember.
Yeah.
So
you guys know Terry. The reason I actually thought that you were going to be on the show at some point in time was because we were always talking about different positions in the industry and all that stuff, and I was like, we got to talk to Terry about Doorman. And he's been a doorman for a very long time, known him for a long time. Now, the thing is I started seeing, some of Terry's comments on Facebook and some of people's comments, and people remembering the good old days and all those kinds of things. And then I realized, you know what? I got to have Terry on to talk about the history of the nightlife in Miami.
The truth history about
There you go. That's the other thing. I started seeing a lot of famous names there, and actually, some of the comments were more like, yeah, that was not the guy. Actually.
That's not the guy. No.
So good to know. So tell us a little bit more. All right. So you arrived here in what year?
1984, 1985. Regine's at the Granby Hotel.
Okay.
Then I was going all the time on the beach because Miami Beach was so easy to go on the beach back then because everybody used to go to Key Biscayne.
Right.
Key Biscayne was packed to people.
Yeah.
Nobody go to Miami Beach. So I want to be in a place where I can be naked, believe it or not. So South Beach on 8th Street to whatever, we could be naked and nobody was around you.
Right.
So I used to go to South Beach on the weekend and I look at Ocean Drive, I'm like, wow, there's so much potential to do a lot of things there. So I met a friend of mine, his name was Luis Canales. He was one of the biggest gay promoter in Miami. He's the one who created the White Party, all the club like Sampers and most of the big club like Paragon and all these big parties, Warsaw and everything else. That was Luis Canales. And he told me, he said, I'm opening a club and in South Beach called Boomerang. That was 1889. And I want to do something
not
funky.
1889,
1989, I'm sorry.
I was going to say 1889, he's not that old.
I was not that old, yeah, sorry. And I asked him what it's all about, because I'm used to that VIP clientele.
Right.
And he told me, my partner is Erin Cosby, the daughter of Bill Cosby, who's very funky and she's very artsy and he's gay. And he wanted to have like a mix of gay, artsy people and funky people together one place.
Okay.
And he wanted a funky doorman, so I came dressed on tuxedo.
All right.
And everybody was jeans and t-shirt and basket.
Right.
And I was wearing a tuxedo at the door. And Boomerang was the first funky place in Miami Beach. Everybody wanted to be there. Madonna was there. Everybody was there.
We're talking now what, about like 87, somewhere around there? Or?
89.
Okay.
89, 90, I left to another place called the Loft.
All right.
The Loft was a French clubs only for VIP, membership only. That was the idea. And the owner hired me. He said, I want you to pick and choose the people like you did at Regine's.
Right.
And I said, but this is Miami Beach. I mean, the people in Miami Beach is a little bit more casual, short, t-shirt, flip-flop. He said, no, try to do something. I'm going to try. So for 3 weeks, I closed the door. Completely. And I put like 5 girls with drinks, champagne, and confetti at the door because it was a glass door, having fun. And everybody asked me, what's this place? And I said, this is the Loft. And they said, what is this? A private club. And they didn't understand the idea of the private club because Miami Beach never have a private club. So it was like very funky. The 4 weeks when I opened the door, I have a line of people outside.
Right.
And people dressed nice.
Yeah, there's that demand right away.
The demand right away. The funky, like the lawyer, the judge, the attorneys, the Miami drug dealer. I mean, everybody.
Where was this located? Was South Beach on Washington and 7th then, or
you
where?
know Liquid?
Correct.
That was the Loft.
All right.
Liquid. So it was 14 in Washington. And next door we have Disco Inferno, the Cameo.
Right.
And next to us we have the Spot with Gary James.
Okay.
So Gary James was doing his clubs with Mickey Rourke back then. And I was doing the Loft. Yeah, that was like, already it was like funky. But the Loft was like amazing. I mean, we were making so much money. We opened 5 days a week.
Right.
In the line 5 days a week. Because it was the only club in Miami where you have to dress up and you have to be at least 25 and over.
Right.
And you have to have a key to get in. They give you a membership was a key. So everybody thinking it was the key of the door. No. It was the key of the bathroom, the extra bathroom.
Okay.
Because it was an extra bathroom. Because back then you could go and do your sniff.
Right. It was definitely different days.
Yeah, so you have the key. So I was like, is it going to work in Miami? And he said, yeah, it was working in Miami.
Oh my God.
And he was making money. He was making a lot of money. And the Loft was the first club who created that Studio 54, pick and choose.
Right, that style.
That style.
And I saw, I mentioned that I saw some people talking to you on Facebook about different things. And one of the parties you mentioned was that neighbor right there next to Liquid with Cameo and Backdoor Bambi.
Backdoor Bambi, yeah.
I don't know exactly if it started there or somewhere else.
That I don't know exactly where it started, but I remember it was a Cameo. Backdoor Bambi was a Cameo.
Okay.
But the Disco Inferno was on Sunday first. The Cameo was known for Disco Inferno on Sunday night, and the DJ was Georgette, his name. And that place was out of control because people dressed disco. We used to go there on Sunday. We're talking about like 1,000, 2,000 people every Sunday.
And there was one party that you were mentioning, and a lot of your friends were talking about who really created the party.
Yes.
You were talking about, what was it, Fat Black?
Fat Black Pussycat, yes.
See, people don't call parties those names anymore. You see Fat Black Pussycat nowadays, and you have no idea what to expect, or
The funny thing about Fat Black Pussycat, I was in my pool 2 weeks ago, and I have an NBA player living in my building with the young guys, by the way. Right. And he heard about the party. That party was like 20 years ago. And he heard today about the party because most of the old basketball player and football player used to go to that
all
party.
There. Right. They liked Fat Black Pussycat.
They loved the Fat Black Pussycat. It was a Monday night, so nobody, everyone was free, especially the hairdresser and the athlete. Some of the athlete was free. And the Miami people on Monday was like, nobody go out on Monday night. So the creator of the Fat Black Pussycat, to make the story real, because a lot of people think they try to take credit for the party. It was created by 3 guys. John Hood, Luigi, and Savoy. were like funky guys, dressed very funky with the hat and the jacket and the pants up to here. I don't know if you remember that. You know.
Yeah.
And they were on the street promoting the party. They wanted to create an industry party for people like me, or the bartender, or the waitress, or anybody work in the industry to go out to party.
Right.
So the price will be cheaper, and you have to have a code at the door. So you have to you have to make a phone call, listen to the code, and you have to tell the doorman the code, otherwise you can't get in. So that was the idea of Fat Black Pussycat. And the name Fat Black Pussycat came because I was in their office one day with Norman Bedford,
Right.
the owner Al Baker, who used to own Facade in North Miami Beach, and John Hood and Robert, who designed the place, and we tried to come up with a name for the industry night. Say, what kind of name we're going to do? Like industry drinks, industry nights. So the week before, me and Norman, we went to a titty bar,
Okay.
and he got a lap dance for a fat black lady
Okay.
who happened to be Irish and black.
Okay.
Yes, that was the joke. Irish
Wow.
and black. And she's married to a Jewish man. So Norman was like, can you be more Miami? You know? So I said, wow, that's a great name. And John Hood said, well, back in New York City, we used to have a party called Fat Black, or Pussycat, or something like that.
Right.
So Norman said, well, the Fat Black Pussycat together sounds very nice. And that was the beginning of Fat Black Pussycat.
Right. Nowadays, it's crazy. I mean, because you think of any parties nowadays, like for example, if you see an industry night
Right,
at any place and it is called industry night,
right,
you see a Latin night anywhere and you see it's called Latin night.
right.
Like there is no creativity
No, they copy everything.
whatsoever.
Everything
it's crazy.
copy.
It's crazy. It's just it's just the same thing. This guy copied that one. They
Yeah,
do the same
yeah.
thing. The DJs play the same music. It's
Everything's the
you know,
same.
and
Everything's the same.
That was the crazy thing. So what do you think made the difference? Why was it so different back then? Why is it that everybody that used to that was able to either party in those days or work those days sees today as blah, so
Well,
boring?
because before, I think in Miami Beach, it was a lot of different people from everywhere.
Did the fact that you touch your nose while you were saying this have anything to do
No,
with
no, no,
Oh,
no.
okay.
No. It was a lot of different people. I mean, you have the gay community, you have the trendy, the hipster. Even back then, you have the hipster, believe it or not.
Right.
And you have the Cuban Latino, then you have the Venezuelan Latino. They don't want to mix. Then you have the black people. I work with Two Life Crew owner.
Right.
He used to own the clubs.
Yeah.
It was a little crazy too.
Oh, I imagine.
But every club was a different scene, different music and different style. So it was fun to go out because I can go out in one night and do different country, and do different music, and do different style of this.
And still be welcome at that party. It
Of
wasn't
course,
like,
of course,
you
yeah.
were going to feel awkward at
And that was the
at
beauty
one or
of
the
South
other.
Beach. Yeah, that was the beauty of South Beach. The party was like, okay, I can go to Sampers and listen to piano with a singer, and then you can go next door, Club Nou, and see Rod Stewart singing.
Right.
It was fun. And that's another thing. We used to bring a lot of real singer.
Correct.
Like in Egoist, we used to have Martha Wash, KLF, Black Box, Nomad, all the band back then, the famous band on Power 96,
Right.
used to come to Miami and sing in the club. So it was more live music with the DJ, like Blue Martini is doing now.
Right.
They didn't create anything. They just
Right,
take
that's not
over.
new.
It's not new. It's all new. We used to do that in Miami all over the place.
Yeah.
So you can go to a Latin place with a live band and a DJ, and next door you can go to the Kitchen Club with a punk. So I used to go to the punk, have a drink because it was cheaper, to the Latin clubs. That's the reason we used to do.
Right.
Then you have the funky place, and you have the private place, and you have Bash, and Living Room, and 609, and Ruins, and all this place.
When do you think the big change came?
The truth, I think the French people destroyed the beach. The opium group destroyed the beach.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they start buying everything and copy and make the same thing everywhere.
Correct.
So they try to reproduce one club and 6 different locations with different style. I mean, try to make a different style, different name, but it was the same DJ, it was the same decor.
Yeah, we just move the party around. Like,
Right.
you know, do this party on Thursday, then on the other club on
Yes.
Friday, the other one on Saturday.
And they use the same promoter.
Right.
They just rotate the promoter.
Yeah.
So you
I
could
mean,
be,
I was guilty of being there, you know, one night at one place, one night at another.
mansion, and then you go to Set, and you go to Mokai, and you get to Louis, and you go over there.
What was the beginning of Opium Group?
Living room.
Okay.
The living room on the beach. First, it was called the Strand.
What did they do before they were club owners?
One of them was a model. One was a photographer, in the industry named Francis. And the other brother, Didier, was back of the house, numbers. He was like, and they have another brother, his name Pierre, who's in France, who's more in the money industry too.
Right.
You know. And Eric have the idea with another guy named Charlie Schreiner, who called Louis XIV, because he used to have a hair like a French king. And to open a restaurant called the Strand, because the Strand was losing money, so they buy it, and they say maybe we can bring the Euro trash, what they call it, you know,
Right.
the Euro style back to Miami a little bit more. And they were not making money because that was the time when China Grill opened,
Right.
and China Grill destroyed them completely. They were doing like 15, 20 people a night. So they came to see me one day, Eric and Charlie, and I was working for Louis Puig at the time,
Right.
the owner of Space,
Correct.
who opened his first club in Miami. It was called Bar 609. No Club 609, Bar
Right.
609.
Bar 609.
And he told me, Terry,
Was that 609 and Washington Ave?
Washington Avenue,
Right.
1235 Washington Avenue.
35. There you go.
And it was called Bar 609. It was a little hole in the ground. You have two rooms, one Latin rooms and one house rooms. And believe me, that place rock like you won't believe. We used to have line from 3 blocks down sometimes just to get into 609.
Yeah.
I mean, it was insane. The police have to come and push the people from the street because they were on the middle of the street trying to get in the club. I got a picture right there I have to show you. And Eric and Charlie came to see me and they say, we're losing money, we don't know what we're going to do. I said, are you crazy? Why don't you make a club like the Loft? And Charlie said, that's a great idea. And 3 months after, I pass by going to work, I pass by in front of the place, and I see living room opening soon. And that's when they opened the living room. And the living room was very famous.
Yeah, of course.
They did a lot of money.
Was Michael Capone already throwing parties back then?
Oh yeah, Michael was back and forth. He was coming back and forth. Michael was coming since the 90s. He was doing party like Bang and Les Bang, and he was competing with Tony Push, who was doing Cassis at the time.
Right.
And Michael had to leave the country for a little while, for vacation,
Okay.
You
A
know.
long vacation.
a long vacation, and he came back. Then he had to leave again. Then he started opening Amnesia. He opened Amnesia. I don't know if you remember that.
Yes, of course.
That was across from Egoist. That was good too.
Yeah.
But Michael was more like industry of the mall agency. He used to go from mall agency to mall agency and pick up girls. And
What's going? That's another thing I haven't seen. I don't see you see the models where? At Live? Is that where they go now?
they don't
I
have mall agency too much in Miami.
Yeah, I
anymore.
don't see that anymore.
It's
like-
too expensive for them.
Okay.
Most of the mall agency was on the Strand Drive back in the days.
Yeah, I remember.
That's why we used to go to News Cafe and sit at News Cafe. That was the only reason we used to go to News Cafe, believe it or not.
No, and it was so different because it was really like any party you would go to, it was easy to get models because they were all
yeah.
here, everywhere.
But you
know?
can't do that anymore. It's too expensive for them to leave to be in Miami. Let me give you an example. When I moved to Miami Beach, a 2-bedroom, 2 baths on Lincoln Road cost me $375 a month. Try to touch anything under $3,000 in Miami Beach now.
Yeah.
And that's why Miami Beach destroyed Miami Beach. The city destroyed Miami Beach by the price was too expensive.
Right.
They start taxing all the clubs. They start doing a lot of prevention for the drugs and the crime with the police harassing the clubs all the time. My first club, I have the radio from the police at the door.
Oh, of course.
They give me the radio in case something happened.
Right.
Can you imagine? I'm French. I came to Miami, and the police give me a live police radio. And my first time I use it, I press the little red button. I got like 15 cup coming up, and what happened here? Nothing happened. I just pressed the button.
French guy.
But that was Miami Beach. The police used to take me home. When I was drunk, I come up from the club. Come on, we take you home. Or they pull me over, they take me home.
So after all, the Milon Brothers, Opium Group, all the whole, all those, Space, Louis, Puig, everybody, because they've all, they're not out of the question.
No, they're not. They're still there.
They're still around. Yeah. But now there's a big monster in South Beach, which is, Groot, David Grutman with Live and Story. With on one corner and the other, and pretty much kind of controlling. And I understand he's trying to, open new things. That's another
animal altogether.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, he started with Space actually. He was a waiter, and he became a boss boy, and somebody took him under his wings in promotion, and he started. He was smart enough to lock the DJs.
Right.
So. If you want the party to be successful, you have to lock the DJs.
Right.
So on one side you have Louis Puig with Space, and the other side you have David to. But David is not alone. He got good people behind him, like Mo Garcia.
Yeah, well, the whole group, hospitality,
they're very smart.
You got Mo, you got Rob, you got,
They got good people
Jojo,
behind him.
There's a cool group of people working with him. I like that. I worked with David on a Tantra, actually, a while back, and then with Opium.
Right.
When he was with Opium, I actually worked with them over there, Privé and.
Yeah, Privé. Oh my God.
Yeah, and I think
then he had Café Tabac, and he was like, oh my
exactly.
God, Opium Garden. And,
so the question is this: do you think there's a possibility of saving South Beach, as in this coming back in any way, where the creativity comes back, where there are more venues instead of just a few huge ones,
right?
Where the little people survive, because it used to be like, how many clubs were on 7th and Washington?
15, 20.
Imagine, that's one block.
Yeah,
that is one block.
I can name you all of them.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
You probably can do it with the address of each.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's crazy.
No, because
you would see all the doormen say hello, and like every door
all
getting
the doormen,
people,
yeah.
and all the lines. You would have to go around on the street because the lines on each club on one block.
And they have
nowadays you stand outside on South Beach at 1:30 in the morning, and you're alone in the street because nothing's happening unless you go to the huge places. It's crazy.
I don't think it's something to do with the huge places. I think the people get tired of the South Beach. The parking and the price was too crazy. I think they take people for granted.
I'm very glad, because I'm on the other side of the beach.
But remember, Miami Beach was very famous before.
Right.
In the 50s and everything else. It was the heyday of South Beach, and he fell down. I think he need to fall down again to bring it back up again.
Correct. Yeah, I think that's one of the main things. It has to happen.
Something bad has to happen before you get better.
Right.
I think it's the beginning of the end of South Beach. The two big clubs right there, it's nothing new. It used to be big clubs before, and like Club New was huge.
Yeah.
And he used to have like 1235 and the China clubs, and you have like back then he was a club with Gloria Estefan singing live inside the club. Nestor Torres played the flute on top of the bar. I remember that. Yeah. But you go next door and it was crack house for blocks and blocks and blocks. Everything was empty. So I think this is what's going to happen in South Beach again. The real estate market's going to drop. All the hotels and everything, they're not going to be able to fill up the rooms anymore. Because if you see the owner of Ocean Drive now, is the same owner. You know that, right?
Yeah, of course.
All the cafe, all the bar right there is Jordache Jeans group. So they copy the same drinks, the same menu, and different name. So the people are not stupid. They don't want to go there because
it's a complete tourist trap.
and you have to pay $80 for a margarita.
But, which is another thing. You don't see locals on the beach anymore. Like people don't want to go to the other side.
No.
So yeah, so we got to do something to save.
Even Wynwood, I don't think Wynwood is going to make it either. I don't believe it.
I'm waiting for Wynwood to crash.
I don't think
we're going to come back to Brickell.
No.
But hopefully the beach will be safe.
Brickell is different. It's the different animal, Brickell, because the clientele is completely different. But
I call it the Latin Quarter.
yeah. But remember, Coconut Grove was the shit before.
It was back when
I can name you the name too. Instinct Better, The Mutiny, Suzanne in the Grove,
My God.
Tiger Tails,
Yeah, that's a long time.
Secrets, Cats, and Stringfellows,
Oh my. Man,
Baja.
Beach Club. Beach Club. Yeah, that's crazy stuff.
The funny story that I can say as a doorman, I'm working with other doormen, and I see so many things the people want you to forget, you're like,
Right.
they don't want you to know, like, oh my God, you saw me in the worst situation of my life.
Right.
And that's what the doorman is the key of, I always say, the doorman is the key of the clubs.
Yes.
If you don't pass the doorman, is a reason for it. And the doorman is the reason why the club is happening.
Right.
If you have a bad doorman, the party can be very bad. If you put too many guys, too many girls, if you make too many this, too many that, it could be a very bad night.
I believe 100% that one of the main reasons
It's because
why
no
it's
good
changed
doorman.
is the doorman.
Yeah. There's
The,
no good
the
doorman.
doormans nowadays is a completely different thing. I mean, the thing is also the French doorman, because there was a lot of you guys probably back,
Yeah, no,
over
it
there.
was only two.
Okay, but there was a point where at least they were saying they were all French.
No. There was only two. And that's another thing that I want to tell you today on the radio. Is a lot of people take credit for other people's work in Miami Beach. I remember sitting down one day at the Van Dyke, and I was doing an interview for a club. And people used to bring me the application. And I look at one of the application, and the guys have the nerve, the claim to be me. With all the name of the clubs, all the location, and all the date, the same of mine. So I said, wow, you work at that club?
Wow.
He said, yeah. It was busy, eh? He said, yeah, it was very busy. And I could believe, I let him talk and talk and talk. I cannot believe that it happened all the time. People take credit for one party or another club all the time. So I think 80% of the club people in the industry right now are full of crap.
Yeah.
There's only a few key people who create SOBE Beach, like Luis Canales, like Gary James, Tony Pooch, Capone, Smack Entertainment with Mo and all these guys.
Yes.
You guys. It's only a few. You can count them in your hand. And the doorman, it was like maybe 5 good doormen in Miami.
Right.
That was it.
And that, I was gonna say that for us, the good days, the parties that you could actually say, man, that's an amazing venue where like, everybody was nice. It was a good group. It was a happening party, but a good crowd or whatever. Always, the person in the front also represented that, because when the doorman is, not the right person, also you got to make sure that the doorman, advise with the same rules that you want to have for your clientele. Like you said at the beginning, when you put on that suit on.
When you go to the door, it's responsibility. I believe it's responsibility. Your job is to make sure nothing bad happened to the clubs.
Right.
And we're making money. So I was also the host, meaning if somebody wants to buy spend money, I want to make sure that guy's going first.
Right.
And he's being taken care very well. And you have to remember him when you come back.
Right.
That's another thing. I'm going to give you an example. You remember Cedric's walking out the door? What's the name of the club? Mint.
Yeah.
After one day I was doing a party at China Grill. Sushi Samba on Lincoln Road. And I was lucky enough to get 3 big DJ coming up. It was for the Winter Music Conference. And Tiesto showed up. Yes, Tiesto. And Tiesto said, can I play a couple of songs over here? And I remember I was like, yeah. I took the manager, let Tiesto play, of course. And he started playing, and there's the girls having dinner with her husband next table, asking Tiesto if she can play Britney Spears at the time. And I told the girls, you know who's playing right now? She said, I have no idea. I'm like, okay. Then we decided to go to Mint. So we're coming with the limousine, and I say, well, I know the doorman. He used to work for me. Cedric was my cashier back in the living room.
Right.
He's gonna let me in, no problem. Tiesto never wear nice. He always wears sneakers. You know that, right?
Right.
So we show up with Tiesto and Mike Vasquez and a couple other guys. DJ from Miami. I think it was Ivan Obelini or something like that. It was with us. And Cedric turned around. He look at the shoes. Said, no sneakers in my club. And I turn around and I say in French to him, I say, hey asshole. In French, I say, hey asshole, look who I'm bringing to you. He said, I don't care. This is mint. I don't want this. I sold at my club. We turned around, we left. But that's a bad doorman. Yeah. You don't judge a book by its cover. You never judge someone because of the way you look or the way what fat it is or stuff like that. I'm going to give you another example. I hired a French doorman named Fabien. I can throw in the radio right now because he's embarrassed about that. He was working the door for me at Jade. And I got an heavy set girl showing up at the door. But I look at the way she carried herself. She was wearing a Praga bag, Cartier watch, nice shoes. And she walked to the door and she said, can I go in? And Fabien said, are you on the guest list? That's another thing, the guest list. The guest list is an excuse. It's fake. You can be a guest of the promoter or the owner, but say, are you on the guest list? It's an excuse for you to brush you off.
Yeah, 100%.
100%. I mean, the guy is like, so he said to the girls, are you on the guest list?
The question is there for you to say no so that he can say sorry.
Exactly, yeah. So she walked away. And I felt bad for her. I was behind him. I ran after her. I said, Miss, I'm so sorry for my doorman. May I please bring you back and offer you a drink? And she said, yeah, I'd like to have a Cosmopolitan. And we talked for 5 minutes. All the way out the door, she gave me a business card. Back then, she was the VP of Telemundo. So I go to my doorman and say, if you do one more things like this, not only you fire, but I want you to understand, never judge a book by its cover. Yeah. As a doorman, you always have to remember the VIP people, and you always have to talk to the people, make sure where they come from. Because there could be somebody today and nobody tomorrow, or nobody today is somebody next day.
Terry, so we are running out of time today. But
next week.
But there will be a lot more history episodes for sure. But one tip that I want to give everybody out there is, promoters, club owners, everybody, it's besides the fact that you got to be creative and come up with new ideas, black fat pussycat kind of names and those kinds of things, which we never even went into what the party entitled, what it was.
The music,
which was,
and everything,
the music and the craziness in that party and all that kind of stuff. Like Studio 54 and that party and,
the costumes,
there's so many different things, costumes, all that kinds of stuff. Just getting creative, spending a little more money on the production and, and than on your own clothes. But it's also the doorman part. Make sure that first impression that you have, that first person that's going to make that decision, that key to your club or to your party, has to be somebody who understands what it is that you need in there. Friendly. That person needs to be friendly. That person needs to know exactly what you want inside, make the right decisions. Make sure you're always that person, you're meeting with them on a weekly basis. Make sure you understand that they understand what it is that you want, that you're doing. What your clientele should be like, your niche, everything. Make sure they understand your crowd.
He could be a good doorman because every time I go to your party, you have a big smile on your face, right, and you come to the door and bring me in.
Right.
You're always very friendly.
Well, we try to kind of always. I mean, even if we have a bad day, we try to put on the mask.
Always.
We gotta have
always.
a smile. In this industry, you got to. And actually, my partner started doing as a doorman, Gustavo.
Go to the line, go pick up the people.
And he was always, doing so. He always, and that was one of the main reasons. He got to meet everybody, all that. And we've had both. We've had good and really bad,
Do you know, I used to give champagne, I used to bring champagne cup to people at the door, at the line, because they wait too long after
while
bar.
you're waiting,
So I used to give them champagne.
For us, it was a little more aguardiente, but there was something. It's always good to take care of the people out there. You know what? I'm give one example of one thing that we did. There was a party that we did with a huge Colombian artist, Carlos Vives, and he was singing at the club for 3 weeks in a row. And one night he realized there was a line of like 500 people outside. And he went and he sat on the line. He said, I'm not going in until everybody goes in. Yeah. So I'm going to make the line. And he sang in the line with the people. He brought the band and sang outside with it. So it's always good to take care of you. Maybe not as much as that, but for sure, make sure you have a good doorman making the right decisions, because in the end, the party is not even what you produce. The party is the people that are going to be in there. The crowd themselves are going to be really what make that ambiance, that party. Yeah. And do not be scared to mix with different crowds. Having a niche does not mean that fun. You don't allow others. That's why we're called LMG, La Misma Gente, the same people. We are all the same. We should all bring, everybody should be welcome. That was what was great about those days.
Miami Beach was a place where everybody can have fun and nobody make fun of you.
Correct.
So you have fun, but nobody make fun of you. And it was a place you can relax, enjoy yourself, and dance. Because yes, back then we used to dance. We didn't text all day long from table to table. That's another thing.
100%.
I see girls on the table texting each other right in front of each other.
Yeah, man. Put the phone down.
Put the phone down
for a minute right after you're done watching this episode. But, definitely put the phone down and make sure you have, human touch as part of your
You should say right there, the human contact between the door and the clientele. You have to feel like these people are waiting online in the heat.
Yeah.
To get in to have a good time.
Right.
Make sure they enjoy themselves.
Yes.
Be funny. I was trying to be funny at the door.
So are you planning on a comeback?
Oh, sure, for sure. I got so many stories to talk. So.
No, but I mean in the nightlife.
I don't know.
A door near you.
The reason why I left the nightlife in Miami is because it was boring.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we're talking right there.
Right.
It's the same music, the same DJ, the same promoter, the same place, all over the place. It could be Wynwood, Miami Beach, whatever.
Right.
It's the same shit everywhere.
Yeah.
And we don't even dance anymore.
So let's make a promise to make shit change, make shit happen.
Of course.
And guys, remember one more time, thank you, Terry, for coming.
Thank you, sir.
Hope to see you again for sure.
And thank you for everybody to listen.
Yes, of course. And remember, you get the book on Amazon, nightlifepodcast.com. You see all the episodes. Follow LMG for the parties, and you follow me at the Nightlife Entrepreneur on Instagram. And see you guys next week.